Conscious collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, change makers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
What up, y'all? This is Emily.
And I'm Lisa, and we are the Conscious Collaboration. And also joining us today is Yvette Sequino, right? Is that how you say it?
Sequino, right? Just like
Sequino. Just like that. Just like, I've known you for almost 6 years and I've never said your last name.
That's funny. I know you have a beautiful last name. Your name is like an author's name. You know,
really?
like you would read it in a storybook.
Yes.
Ooh,
oh, here's the challenge, Lisa. Have you said my last name ever?
Okay, so Emily, your name is stored in my phone. It's so funny. When we met, I put Emily and then I left a cap lock on. So it's Zombrecker.
Like it's yelling in German.
Like it's yelling in German. So and I never changed it. So whenever I look at my phone, it's like Emily Zombrecker. So it's German. But anyway, everybody, we're so happy to have you join us today. I have a very special guest and friend that I invited to join this conversation because it's the perfect timing. Back to school, Emily and I have been, as many of you at home, balancing all the things and trying to be the best we can in what we're doing in our daily lives, and then also supporting our children in their education and getting those routines going. Yvette, I have known her, like I said, for over 6 years. We met in the most random way, I think in an entrepreneur or a visionary circle. Yeah. We were both randomly invited by a really cool guy in Clearwater, and we connected. And what I've learned about Yvette is she's very tuned in to helping people. She's very resourceful. She's very well-spoken. A very gifted writer, by the way. But she saw a need, and she got into the education system, and she saw a need to support children in a more unique way, helping them to reach beyond how they're taught traditionally in the school system, because she saw that holistic systems and guidance was needed because every child had their own unique template in how they absorbed information. And I think the way that you've been describing it is children have been left behind, as well as the caregivers feeling like they just don't know how to support their children in learning. And Yvette, I'll let you talk a little bit more about this and how you created Pink and Blue Place. And I love your website that's out there for you. We'll put the link in the description for everybody listening. But the reason that you created this was to have a place to concentrate on the whole child. The whole child, right?
The whole child, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I felt like as a public school teacher, I was stretched so thin. And when a child comes in, when a group of children come in, the dynamic grows the way the teacher grows it. And we have exceptional teachers in the public school system. And we all also have exceptional teachers outside of the public school system doing phenomenal things for children. The problem is when there's a huge dynamic and then there's a great deal of paperwork and a great deal of accountability and systems that have to be put in place, sometimes the individual needs of a child does not get met in the moments. And a teacher will catch up, or a teacher will have to set the structure of the lesson, and that child's needs may interfere with that delivery of that lesson. So somewhere, someone is gonna not get everything that they need. And I felt very stretched by that, being an empathetic person, being a mother myself, watching other teachers stress and feel a great deal of angst. And then understanding that admin has a responsibility also. It just felt very difficult for me at the time. And I had been slowly progressing to a place where I could move out of the classroom and do more. And then I found this system and I really related to it. And I loved the way we tapped into both the emotions and the mind and the mindset of the children. So it's a combination of delivering lessons, but you're also learning what the child needs in the moment. And one moment can change to another. So I love that I can work individually with them or in small groups. And I actually love small groups. I was known as like the small group teacher because I love doing lots of small groups for my students, and they learn better because they feel more attended to.
Oh, I love that. I actually didn't think about small groups, but I love how you're honoring not just the children and feeling that gap, but also in the teachers as well as the parents too, the caregivers.
Right. And the
So you're noticing
parents
that.
feel so hope. They're so full of hope. I'm dropping my child at a school or a learning center or a micro school pod, or if they're homeschooling. They feel like they're doing everything they can, but I think parents are so tapped. They're so tired, and they're doing the best that they can. And one of the biggest things for parents is to never feel like they're wrong. You make mistakes, we all do, but they're not huge. You're learning, just like your children are learning, and no one is a perfect parent. So I always feel like I even hate using the word mistake because you're doing the best you can in the moment, just like your kids are doing the best they can in their moments, and we just have put so much pressure on ourselves as parents or pressure on ourselves as teachers that we're losing the delivery of the lesson. We're losing that emotional side and connection for kids sometimes, and for ourselves. We need to give ourselves a break too. So I feel like I support both. I feel like with my delivery, I am doing a lot to support the parent. If a parent needs a half an hour, they've got it. They can sit and have a conversation with me. And one of the new things I am actually asking a lot of my parents, if I'm going to work with your child and do a 12-week plan, I want to meet with you as well. I don't want that 12 weeks to just be a wondering of what's happening. I want you to be involved. And that's
it seems to me too, like not just the 30 minutes or whatever it is super valuable, don't get me wrong, but it seems like it would pay dividends way farther downstream as the child starts to become more successful in school. They start to build that confidence, and maybe things that were potentially bleeding into issues at home that were contributing to stress of the parent start to level out some because the child is having more success in that way.
Right. And once a child feels like somebody gets where they're coming from or hears them or gives them a chance to speak, which can't always happen in a classroom with a lot of kids. And if the parents are doing that at home in the moment of that 6 to 8 hours of learning, they may not get that all the time in a public school, but that's where we help and coach them through that. So when I'm working with children and helping them, I'm helping them not just learning phonics or reading comprehension, and it doesn't matter what age. It can be all the way up into high school. They just need to be heard sometimes. And sometimes the learning isn't going to happen. I could just dive into the subject matter like a tutor or a teacher. They may not absorb any of it because something else is happening right now. Something else is emotionally or distracting them, and their focus isn't on. So my goal is always to find out that before we get started, or unload whatever needs to unload and read through situations that might be upsetting or just on their mind. It could even be a game. I played a game with my brother, whether it's a board game or a video game, and I can't get through this one cycle, or this one, my son would tell me I'm saying this wrong. My son's a gamer. Or this one place, and I can't get through that obstacle, and it's bothering me. And even that is going to take away from a child's learning.
Wow.
So can you speak to that a little bit more from the angle of, so you're treating the child holistically, which as a nurse and a holistic health and fitness trainer is something that I'm always looking at. And a lot of people kind of hear that term thrown around and think it means, all natural, and that's not necessarily incorrect, but really what we're talking about when we're talking about holistic is just looking at the whole person. So
Right.
can you speak a little more to that? Like what elements you're looking at in addition to the sort of traditional learning trajectory that help you evaluate the whole child?
Some children need more movement. Some children may just need to close their eyes and just breathe and think. Some may need just a moment to manifest a goal or some problem, or just get up and take a walk. And I can do that now, where I may not have been able to do that until there was a break in my day in a public school classroom. But now I can do that. And if a child just needs to breathe and take a walk outside, nature is part of holistic learning. Breathing is part of holistic learning. Balancing heart and mind is part of holistic learning. So it's tapping into where their needs are. Some don't want to be asked a lot of questions. So sometimes it's just maybe even putting on some music. It's the mind is healthiest, and you probably know this better than me from your profession, but the mind is healthiest if we're helping it get there. So nutrition is important, food is important, water is important. I tell my students all the time, drink water, because our bodies are made up mostly of water. We need water. It reduces inflammation, and there's other things. And music and sound healing is important for some situations for children. So if a child is feeling stressed, we have to figure out what works for them. And some might just need to read out loud. They just may need a moment. Can I read this to you? So it's really understanding each of those children that you are working with. And after being a parent of two children that, I also raised on a good portion of the time on my own. I had extended family. I had wonderful friends. It does take a village sometimes. And they had plenty of time with their father. But we didn't always have all the resources we needed all the time. So I learned, and sometimes because they had to tell me, hey, Mom, hear me out here, I learned that you have to listen. You just really need to understand that individual in the moment. And we're not perfect. It's a process for me, too, to keep learning. And I think about it and read about it and write about it, even in a journal for myself to get down, this didn't work today. What am I going to have to do tomorrow or the next session with this child? Or it took 10 minutes for this process to work. So maybe there was another way I could have tried. So it's never just one way. It's just being open to all of what's out there and available to work with every single child or student that you have in front of you. And also speaking with the parents. Parents have so much power in their child's education and sometimes don't realize that. And homeschool parents probably realize it now more than ever before because there's more supports for them. Public school parents sometimes don't realize that. You do have a say. You can get in there and have a conversation. So I feel like I love that your podcast has the word connection in it, because I do really believe from both standpoints that a parent and a teacher, even if it's a music teacher and it's only a half an hour lesson a week, that conversation needs to be had. There has to be a connection. because that adult to adult conversation and connection helps the child in their learning.
After doing this work, do you feel like there are ways that schools, public schools in particular, but any schools could adopt some of these concepts to the larger groups and just improve
Yes.
the way that learning is facilitated?
Yes. I think this is my opinion, and this is probably going to be somewhat agreed to and some controversy on it, but I do believe that colleges are getting better at teaching more social emotional learning as part of the curriculum for teachers. I think young teachers coming out have great idealistic views of how we're going to run a classroom, what I'm going to do, and really structure and consistency is so important for teachers because the students have to hear what the expectations are, but also starting a lesson, explaining your expectations, also discussing with students where the direction of everything's going to go, and then going over how long it's going to be, maybe setting themes for I used to have like Talk to Your Brain Tuesday or Teach Your Brain Tuesday, Motivational Monday. We Can Do It Wednesday. So things like that help the students. If you also have moments where you feel like, uh-oh, it's getting a little loud, or maybe there's a little bit of a problem starting over here, you can sing half of a song that you taught the students, or like a phrase. I used to sing Do-Wah-Diddy and put a little cartoon on, and the kids would sing back to me, diddy-dum, diddy-do, just because that little moment of singing is holistic. And I wasn't always the traditional follow the entire structure teacher all the time. And I had to learn what worked and what didn't for me too, because you're perceived as a certain way with your students as well. And if you are coming across in a way that they don't see you, then you may not get anywhere with that child. So it's a two-way situation, and you really do need to take advice from other people, have a mentor, even someone that's not associated with the school system that might come in and volunteer in your class a little bit and take that advice, that maybe something they've seen that you never even thought of, and listen to it. Because we as teachers are so sometimes caught in the lesson that has to be delivered, because that's accountability for me as a teacher. But we may not realize that saying so structured to the lesson may lose something in the delivery, because again, we're not balancing the heart and mind of our child that's in front of us, or the 10 or 15 or 20 kids in front of us. And some might just be tired and hungry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then on kind of the flip side, what are maybe some actionable steps or takeaways that a parent could take from this to, help level up their child's learning, tonight if they wanted to?
I feel like curriculum is very hard for parents sometimes, especially math these days. It's very different than the way we were taught.
It's different.
I am dreading the moment that my daughter's like, hey, I need help with this math homework.
Oh, Emily. Oh my gosh. It's so disorienting to look at the way they process math today versus how we were taught.
It's really would be so beneficial to parents to ask, can we have a training? Can we do a grade level training where we can come in and learn, and not just one night, maybe a few nights? And it's a lot for the schools to put it together, but the benefit in the long run is huge. Here's the work that your child is doing this month or this quarter, and you do it. Here's the lesson, you do it now in a small group in the classroom. And I think the parents would be so appreciative. I don't think
So
it would matter
appreciative.
what grade.
I would rather have that done on back to school night, you know, like a little small section there, because, you know, my children, they're not into, I forget what the form of math is that they do right now. What is it called? Like the form of multiplication.
It's like core something.
I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I'm thinking back to like 10 years ago. I was in Big Brother's Big Sister, and I had a little sister in middle school, and then I went with her to high school. And we sat in a room, we would do homework together and talk about all of these things. And she needed help on math homework. And the way that I was doing, I think it was multiplication and division, was a total different, it was a long form way that they don't do anymore. And so I asked her to try to teach me how to do it so that I could double check her work. But it was just like, I had to get on Google. I mean, this was before AI and ChatGPT and before any of that existed to my knowledge. But just hearing you talk, I mean, that's another place that could use support, is Big Brother, Big Sister and the school system, because I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't want to tell her to do things the wrong way or unravel what she had been taught.
Right. And there's not just one way to do multiplication anymore. There's multiple ways. There's loads of programs that are available that do show multiple different ways to get it done. And they're great. A lot of them are out there, but some of that stuff on YouTube can even have mistakes in it. So it's really important. Some schools actually are doing like the math night and a reading comprehension night. So some schools are doing that. I think if they all did it, it would help a great deal.
Yeah.
Because it may be that there are 5 different systems being taught in 1 year, especially between second and fourth, second to fifth grade. There's a great deal of multiplication and division concepts being taught.
Wild.
So if that's not an option right now necessarily, I can definitely see that being a valuable goal to work towards. But what about, I mean, is there any sort of, you know, dinner table conversation starters or something to that effect where we can start playing a bigger role and, you know, really facilitating better learning for our children?
I think even just starting the day with positives, sometimes we wake up and we don't even think about, we may be in a rush starting the day, or if one of our children is dawdling a little bit, or one of them takes the shoes off when the other one, if they're little, and runs around and you're getting one dressed and the other one's having a ball. You know, those moments are such a gift, and we don't realize they're a gift in the moment because we're so stressed to get them out, to get to work, to get to school on time, to not get a demerit if the school gets out a demerit for being late. Not forget water or our lunch in the meantime in the process, you know? So I think being prepared helps, but I think also if you have a system in your family, whether it's, can you tell me one positive from your day, one thing you didn't like about your day, and you just have conversations, or how are we going to go start our day, beginning and ending our day makes a big difference for our children. We don't even think about it. And I do recall one thing my dad loved to do was always talk about history at the dinner table. He's a history buff. And my mom would always ask about people. She's more intuitive about, or into people. So getting, you know, a combo of those things was great. But they both would say, I can't help you with math. I don't know math. So I think
it's genetic, guys.
I think that we send that message to our kids too, and we don't even think about it. Yeah. My children, their dad was great in math. My sons are both very good at math. They could do it very young, but problem solving very young includes things like Legos. Putting the Legos together, taking them apart, builds that problem solving strength in the brain. asking them, what would you do in this situation? And having them talk about it back to you. Today, if you go to school and someone says this, how are you going to react? It brings up those scenarios. Use the car for teaching moments. Look at the address signs. Teach them about address signs and direction. On the road, ask them addition, multiplication questions in the car. When you go to the grocery store, have them included. I used to love coupons because they would help the kids learn how to deduct what the cost was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Or they could help you shop.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they're with you in the grocery store or planning the grocery list, make it a math assignment. It's the best assignment for life skills because they're learning how much that money is, where it's going to go and how much it takes to go to, whether it's a convenience dinner or the grocery store. I think we can all say that we've been to the store and there may be someone young behind the counter and they're not sure how much money to give us back as change because they're not counting backwards. And that's something we learned in school. And one of my best teaching partners, she's a math guru and she was phenomenal in math. She taught the students that the last few weeks of school all the time. She just made it a lesson in school. Here's the grocery list. I'm going to give you $50. Where's that going to go? Today, it would have to be $100 for a week for a family, right? Or close to it.
At least.
How far is that going to go? And if we talk to our young kids about that, or even teenagers, I've worked with some students that don't even understand that $20 isn't going to go for much more than milk, eggs, and maybe a piece of meat.
Right.
And that's just a regular life skill that we don't even think about.
Reframing, like you're saying, the lessons into life skills, like lumping math in with problem solving. That would be so much more relatable and less scary and intimidating to me if it was more like today in our problem solving, we're going to do a little bit of math. We're going to do a little bit of logic or reasoning. We're going to do a little bit of, philosophical or like situation based. That would have made math less. I was actually very good at math. I just dislike it. But I think reframing it into problem solving would have been more appealing to me.
And I think they do that a great deal with the textbooks today and the different concepts for math. And the reason there are the different concepts is to work on different aspects of learning and strengthening the brain.
Yeah.
But the conversations that we have with our children at home can include that. Or even writing a letter. We don't even realize that they don't know how to write a letter, put a stamp on it. Some do. But
they get so excited to do that. That's like a big deal.
Yeah. And then to get it back in return. Mm-hmm. I think that parent-teacher communication too can also translate to our children at home. I don't remember which teacher it was, but one of my son's teachers showed me this, and then I did it all the time with my students. And we used to kind of do it at home, and then they grew so fast. So once they get to middle school, this doesn't always work. But writing a letter to, or writing a question to your child and having them answer that back, or writing a question to the teacher and the teacher answers you back, and then ask the teacher to write you a question in return so that that communication continues, that actually strengthens our children's writing skills. It strengthens, it's a communication journal.
Yes.
And you can even, I used to cut them in half or ask Home Depot, they don't do it anymore. None of the home stores, I'm not going to say which ones, but they don't do it anymore. They used to cut the composition books in half, or you get a small notebook.
Yeah.
And then that could be a communication. You write a question, they answer it. They write a question, you answer it. It could be as simple as, what are we having for dinner? But they actually write it and you answer it in a sentence. So they're seeing the punctuation, the capitalization, the right grammar in a sentence. It just, little techniques like that just help build,
especially in the day and age of texting and abbreviations.
Right. Yeah, but it's an art. Actually, we have forgotten the art of writing. I love writing. I love teaching students handwriting because script is an art today. We're not teaching them how to sign their name.
Yeah.
And that does take a part of our brain. I don't know if you've had it. Are you getting letters or online where you have to put an online signature on things now?
Yes.
I want to write my name.
That's not how I would write my L.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. We grew up in a time, and it's so funny. I found some of these because, it's stuff that parents passed down to us. I found, and I had to give it back to my ex, but he had collected Post-it notes between him and his mom, like, hey, mom, I'm going surfing. I'll be back at 10. And then like a Post-it note from her, so like those are things we don't do anymore. We don't leave a Post-it note to say like, I'm at my friend's house playing and I'll be back. Or even between our partners, that's gone away.
Or a family recipe. When my great grandparents, my great grandmother on my mother's side, they were bakers in Italy. And we never got all the recipes. And I always said, why didn't we share these recipes? So when my grandmother's sister had some of them, I asked her, I love when you make your sesame cookies, and I still have it. It's a treasure to me that she hand wrote it. Yeah. And it's the family recipe, and it dates back over 100 years. And, sometimes something as simple as that is actually strengthening a lot of the different neurons in the brain and doing that heart-mind balance that we need.
Yeah. Do you know some of the science? I mean, I was taught some of this by some of my mentors in energy work, but writing something in script or cursive, it lights up different sections of your brain. So it's actually helping to program whatever it is.
It's opening up those neural pathways.
Yeah, the neural pathways. So it becomes a part of your consciousness and awareness and your perspective. So it's neural pathways that's scheduling.
Anything that we do that opens up the learning and the mindset and removes a block is actually, I want to use the right terms, but it is opening up a new pathway for learning. Okay. Music lessons are in the same category of learning like mathematics because of the systems and because of the methods that it needs for developing the hands or the mind connection.
Wow.
So it is really important. My oldest son is a musician, but he's also incredibly gifted in mathematics. They both are. And when he was younger, he was like, I just want to do math. I don't care about reading. I just want to do math. And it was a battle to get over that hurdle. And I wish I knew what I know now about strengthening the brain and getting there. So it wouldn't have been a little bit of a battle. We started music lessons around the same time. He moved into 3rd grade. And a music teacher at school said, he gets the rhythms. And I really think I could teach him guitar and he'd be one of my best students. It turned out he did become one of his best students in guitar, and he actually went back years later and helped some of the younger kids a little bit. And that elementary teacher actually came when he made it into the state competition and was the first guitarist in our county to make it into the state competition. So that connection built that heart mind. That teacher went a little bit extra, but it also connected that spot in the brain that needed opening so my son would start reading. And that same year, the reading just took off and it never stopped.
And to me, I think this is one of the most important things that you're talking about. And you've brought it up several times in the context of music. I think that because it seems like they've de-emphasized both the arts and physical activity, right, and nutrition. But I think that a re-emphasis on that kind of thing, on music, the arts, and on getting the kids moving on a regular basis would just pay dividends in terms of the results that you could get from them in their learning. I think I don't know. I mean, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the thought was, well, we need to, get them smarter, get them doing better academically. So we need to put more of a focus on the academics. But I think that decreasing the access to other stuff is just detrimental.
It's a balance. It really is a balance. And every child's different, right? Their needs are always different, and they're always changing and evolving, just like any of us. They just can't always express it in the same way we would like them to. So if a child is maybe acting out behaviorally in a classroom or at home, there's more to it. There's something else going on. It could be just tired, could be hungry, thirsty, could be a lot of things, but maybe they just even need to just be for a minute. And it's okay for them to be bored. I love when people say to me, I have to keep them busy. Yeah, we do. We have to stimulate them, but let them be bored. Let them figure some things out. Let them make mistakes and learn from them. Because I think as parents too, we're scheduling. We want them, especially as they get older, they want to be in activities. But sometimes we have to say, how much can you really do in a day? As ourselves plus the child. Every child wants to do this activity, that activity. What can you really handle in that day? So do we push them too far, or do we make sure that they're still getting their 8 to 10 hours of sleep and making them feel good about getting homework or schoolwork done? And I'm not a pro or against advocate for homework. I think that depends on individual situations. And I do know that reading every night can strengthen the child's abilities. And it also, of course, works the brain and strengthens the brain. So I'm a big advocate of reading, especially before bed. Calms. It's a nice calming. You could have quiet music, an instrumental in the background, the whole family's reading. It's just a nice calming effect on everyone. And not reading on the phone. No phones. No electronics. No reading that way. Really reading.
I love that so much. This is really feeling just like as it always is, like the perfect timing type of conversation. But in the past couple of weeks, and we were talking to Dr. Carlos and Sapna, and the conversation was around rekindling a childlike joy. And it's something that, sometimes is generated through boredom, because then a child creates their own play and uses their imagination versus it being provided by us or instructed by us or,
or
imposed on them. Yeah, imposed on them. And I love that there's this shift in recognition that it is a very heart-centered, it emanates from a very inner self type of individuality that I think the pendulum had swung to being very militant and very just masculine energy, nothing, there should be masculine and feminine energy, but I feel everything that you're saying is just very curious and, more emotional and intuitively based. I think that's really, it's the mesh between, okay, we have to do the forms, we have to have the structure, but there's more of that balance, I think, that was needed. I mean, I wish I had great teachers growing up, and I did generate my own play, and I was bored quite a bit. So I had a wild imagination, but I think what you're providing is so very needed by everybody that we've been discussing.
I think in order to feel fulfilled as a person, you have to know how to get through boredom, because there will be times as you get into your adult age or grow into different environments that we have to be prepared for having alone time. And not having that as a child and not being able to find a way through that is actually limiting. It doesn't open the brain as much. It doesn't allow more learning. And creativity is a great thing. Even going outside and just walking in the backyard is to make sure it's safe. They can learn so much. Look in the dirt. Look at the trees. Where's there a butterfly? The bumblebee is a good thing. It's not, don't kill it. It's a good thing. We want them. You know, all those aspects of a child's imagination and discovery needs to happen. And it can't happen if they're in front of an electronic device. It's not the same. I didn't allow them in my house until they were older. I think they were in middle school. And I'm not sure who, it was a grandma, or an aunt gave them there first. And I was like, oh no, here we go.
Oh.
And it does change. The dynamic of a house does change because of it, you know, and as they move into their teenage years, they want those. But it is a good thing that we limit them because they do limit their brain development. And now that we are learning more about it and seeing that it is a fact and it's not just an opinion, we need to make sure that we have rules and regulations with those in the house, you know, some family policies. But if our children see us do it and turn it off, they're going to do it. They're going to stop. My son's, you probably did with a lot of what yours, like you were learning and your children were seeing you learning a little bit. My sons were seeing me get my graduate degree when they were younger. And we'd go to the library together and work together. So I think we developed a quiet reading time. My youngest loves to read quietly still, which I love. You know, it's important. It's that one area.
Yeah, I've noticed that reading is making such a strong comeback. I see being in people's homes. Every time I'm there, the request is, we don't have one. We need a reading nook, a designated reading nook, or several of them if there are several kids or the adults want one. It's one of the biggest requests that I get. And even bringing back the physical libraries, people desire more to put their reading materials, the physical ones, because I know everybody has like the downloaded or audiobooks, but it's starting to return back to more of the physical and having that at the forefront.
But if we even just think from an optical standpoint, that's also part of the brain, right? So we're exercising our eyes by reading in a book, and that's going to benefit and strengthen the brain as well as calm, as well as contribute to that calming in the system that we need to be a healthy individual, because the immune system's affected by stress too. And if we are always looking at devices, we're not de-stressing, we're not calming, we're not getting out in nature, we're not seeing that green and sunshine. We need that. It's there. It's wonderful that we have it. Sunshine is free. Taking a walk, it's free. And it's a benefit. It's great for families to be able to take a walk together after dinner or read a book. Watch a funny TV show, then turn it off and read a book.
Yeah, that balance is so important.
Very important.
Yeah, I feel so much of what you're saying. I'm taking a mental note and just trying to find ways to balance, because as you know, just myself and Emily and yourself included, but everybody, listeners, my children, they're 6 and 9, and they're very exposed to electronics. And they even have their own electronics given to them at school. So it's always, and Emily, we often have play dates with our kids. But it's finding that balance between, okay, we accept that the electronics have a big presence in life and there's that awareness, right, but then making sure equally we're going to the park or, nature walks, and they're seeing us do that too, because, half my day, my face is in a computer.
Me too. Yeah, we're all doing it, but, and there's benefits to it. There is benefits. The games have been shown to be beneficial. And even as people age, the games have been shown to help the brain, but within limits.
Yeah, they love those games.
I've kind of tried to keep it, now whether this is the best way to do it or not, I don't know. But, what I've found kind of works for us and gets us into a nice rhythm is like a real before fake policy. So in food, Olivia, my daughter, has to have, her protein and her real food first before she has any of what we would consider like treat foods or snack foods or what have you. And with like the tablet, because she their equivalent of like what we would have done and when we got our own line, our own phone line, we'd go talk to our girlfriends, and their equivalent is kind of like playing Roblox on the tablet in community. But before she is allowed to do that, we have to have some kind of outdoor activity that has happened, movement and being outdoors, weather permitting. And I don't know, I've found that to be a good way to kind of position the treat stuff as treats, and but still not be too unreasonably militant about it. Recognize that we live in the modern world that we live in, and not have her feel too isolated from that, but still getting what she needs and getting it first, prioritizing that.
Right. Well, and it's balance, because it is a benefit, and there is a great deal of eye-hand coordination. I don't know about anyone else. I'm terrible with those. I cannot do it. My son is
not the original Mario
to teach me how to do it. I am not a gamer. Maybe a little bit on my phone once in a while, but I'm not the gamer he is. I mean, he's extraordinary at it, but that's just not my thing. But I think a lot of people, it is a convenience, and reading on there is helpful. Reading at all is helpful, period. But it is, it is a convenience, and it is something that's not going away. So we have to learn to live with it and balance it, just like we do with sugar. Our kids there are some of us that want more than others at different times. So we balance it, try to balance it, because we have to do what's best for us and our own bodies and systems, that we know what works, and we learn what works as we get older, and with our own children. There were times that I'm not going to call out anyone, but there were times that any of us as teachers sometimes had to start the first week of school with, here's a little treat. Thank you for doing a good job. Here's five people got a treat for now. And then it was, hey, am I going to get this all the time? No. There's a treasure box at the end of the week. This was just to get started and get the systems in place. Now, tickets are good. Stickers are good, again, for the little ones. But older kids, they want something substantial. So it better be a good reward, because they're still looking for rewards, and our minds and bodies want rewards, right? But we also want that balance, I guess, is the best way to say it.
For sure.
I love that. Your voice is so calming. I just bet you were, it is. I imagine too, like, singing to your class and calming them down, it would work for me. I think you could do that in a room of adults if you said.
I'm not going to say I sang all the time. There may have been once or twice I was, I had to bark out once or twice, hello.
I think it's wonderful. I think what you do is so very needed, so very important. And so you mentioned that you work not only with the child, but the adult in any scenario too. And that includes collaborating with people in teaching positions. And, that runs the gamut. You mentioned there's micro schools are popular now. There's popping up all over the place. So you're just I can think of so many people to connect you with just from this conversation. So I'm really excited, just grateful to have this conversation.
I'm diving in. So I've been taking it slow this year as I was feeling my way. And it can get very busy. Mm-hmm. And busy's not always good, because I don't want to get busy and forget about what the needs are of the child first. So I want to stay true to that, but also help. So I may be doing some more in the way of talking, to groups. We'll see how
that's a great idea. I was mentioning to you, Dr. Carlos, and he has an event this Thursday I'll invite you to, but he does these circles where he shows up and he picks a subject and everybody shows up and has this candid conversation. Just like we're having in this podcast, I could see you being just wonderful for that. People would come from all over just to have an hour with you and circle talk around
thank you.
These topics. Yeah.
You're beautiful. So good about ideas. We always do that, right? We get on the top and we bounce ideas back and forth. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's the magic of like having us all together in these conversations. Like so much we and you referenced too, like we can't do this in a silo.
No.
And you wouldn't, not without getting deep, like beyond the website, without getting deep into conversations. You just don't even know, like, referrals or, solutions or places to connect. So I think it's wonderful. I'm so happy that I know we're your first podcast. Right?
Yeah, I feel like I went to school today. Like I wrote you both. I had that excitement last night, and thank you.
Yeah, we hope to have you back again soon. And other podcasters and people that listen to us know that they can find you. You're inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective.
Thank you.
On Facebook. So definitely, we encourage you to share in there. Continue just talking about these very important conversations. People are still going back to school right now. I think, the second wave happened. I think there's one more after Labor Day for some of the U.S.
Right.
So very important and timely, because we can notice there's this shift and a pull towards being more receptive and heart-centered. And we want this for our children too.
Yeah. And for ourselves, it's a combination there's so many people saying, and it's very true. If you as a parent are taxed to the max, you're not going to be the best parent you can be. And your kids need that. And teachers need that for themselves as well, because they will get max. I actually had two teachers texting at 9-10 o'clock last night that elementary school teachers were still finishing all the tasks that were given to them to get finished and hadn't gotten home yet. They were still at work. So that is not something that is outwardly discussed, but teachers put a lot of time and effort in.
Yeah.
No matter where they are, planning is a big part of that job.
Yeah, that's, what, you're right. We have an app that we communicate with the teachers, and you and I were texting pretty late last night. And I was working on some late projects, but right after we had hung up from texting, I got some messages from the kids' teachers talking about homework and papers and systems that they had sent home. So, wow, has everything really shifted to we're working all hours of the day.
Oh, yeah. And that's not a new thing, unfortunately. And that's where they start tapping into they're hurting their immune systems, and how are their brains going to be able to keep being receptive and giving if you're wearing yourself out. Yeah. It's going to add up over time. Someone's going to catch a cold or a virus, and it's not the best situation. So we all need to take care of ourselves better. We're getting so much negative these days. We just need to stay as positive as possible. and help one
And
another
find your
not
people
forget
to
that.
have these
Yeah.
brainstorming conversations with, find your positivity. I woke up this morning and a man that I met actually was in Dr. Carlos's group like last month, messaged me and he said, have a wonderful day. Just random connection. Just wanted to, another entrepreneur shared to me, just have a wonderful day. And I thought, well, that was really nice, like a random have a wonderful day. So then I also pass that on to a new connection. I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everybody really is just running, near to depletion. So finding ways.
As we get, I'm sorry.
Positivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we get to the beginning of the school year, we get through a summer where we're like, hey, I can do this, I can add this, and we can do, and then we get there and we're trying to put all those pieces together. And sometimes the puzzle pieces don't all fit at the same time. So we need to stop and say, okay, which ones are we going to really be able to do each day of the week? And to actually sit down and schedule and plan it. It's important. But I think
Puzzle
we
pieces are a
also,
great analogy that you just shared. Like that's such a great analogy, because I'm thinking like trying to make all these puzzle pieces fit, and sometimes you just want to cut a corner off one and shove it in there.
I would imagine with a girl and a boy, your children may want to do different things.
Yeah.
And 2 children or 3 children in a household will I want to do this, I want to do this. And if they don't have the same interests, you're being pulled in many directions. So you have to be good to yourself and accept that you're not always going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And include them. I was thinking about this the other day. Someone said to me, oh, no, I do all this task at home. There's nothing wrong with including cleaning tasks and making that fun with our kids. Laundry is okay to separate colors and show our kids that we can do this and teach them, because I used to say to my sons when they were 4th and 5th grade, you're going to be in college in like 5 to 10 years. You're going to be out of the house. I need to teach you. So it was funny, but they learned to do their laundry before high school. And it's not hard. It's a fun thing for them to learn to do. And then they take care of that. They build independence. And building independence is good for our kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gosh, thank you so much. Do either of you have any last little buds of insight to share with those listening and tuning in with us today? I hope that we found the right people at the exact right time that needed to hear this. I think we did.
I just would say connection. And I love that you both have that in your podcast title, because we need to connect with each other, and parents, teachers, parents to parents, and children to parents. That connection is so important. And sharing how we're feeling is so important. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of the school year, teachers may not always be able to share as much. It should be something that is part of their day, and they should, but that might need that extra little parent connection where the parent is including it. Go connect with them and help them indirectly by connecting with them too, because that's only going to benefit your child.
That is so nice. Yeah, that gives me some ideas. We're always getting feedback from the teachers that's so encouraging and lovely and complimentary, but wouldn't it be so nice to have unexpectedly, outside of any of the designated teacher appreciation days, to have our children write a letter or appreciation or encouragement?
Oh yeah, I still treasure some of those even hand-drawn letters or hand-drawn cartoons of me as a teacher. They're a treasure. I keep them. I think those are the best gift you could possibly give a teacher. They do appreciate them.
Oh, I need to do that. That's on my list. I'm going to do that this week.
Your kids will love doing it too.
They surely do. They are so thoughtful, and they really love to write notes and draw pictures and cartoons. And I know the teachers could use that. I could tell because I know they were up late messaging in the app. And then this morning when I dropped the kids off, very early in the morning, there was just this big coffee bar out, and all the teachers had giant mugs of coffee. And so I was like, oh, they're tired.
Yeah.
We're all lucky if we put on pants someday.
Yeah. Yeah. They've just finished setting up their classrooms or getting their systems in place, and things are changing so rapidly, probably on their end. And and the first 2 weeks is like a honeymoon.
Yes.
So
you're right. Honeymoon phase of
yeah. And then it changes.
Yes, just like relationships. Peel back those layers. Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been such a joy. I hope we get to have you back sometime.
Oh, thank you.
If we can steal you back from other podcasts, that would be amazing. And definitely just, keep us informed of all the new wonderful things that you learn. You're in the right spot in terms of our group has so many people that could use help and guidance and connection with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too.
Well, that being said, we're going to give it a wrap today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope this has been inspiring and helpful and supportive to you. And you can find Yvette and us hanging out inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective, our closed and private Facebook group. You know where to find us. You can DM us or send us an email, and we'll get back to you maybe at 11 p.m. at night. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you in 5.
Take care.
In 5. Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.